Unfiltered podcast coming to you April 11th, 2023. How you guys doing? Ernest, EJ, Christian here with another Unfiltered episode. Short one, as always. We do just kind of keep these like 10, 15 minutes. Today's topic, I want to focus on one, Luka Doncic, the Dallas Mavericks, and of course, Mavericks disappointing season, ending this the 2022-23 NBA campaign at 38-44. Shocking, especially when you figure and consider the fact that this team actually traded for another All-Star in Kyrie Irving, and yet still cannot maintain their standings. When that trade happened, the Mavericks were the 4th seed in the Western Conference, and I'm not only missing the playoffs, but missing the play-in altogether. And of course, where does blame go? You know, and the only reason we're bringing this up now because the Mavericks are going to be in the river, at least till free agency happens. They'll be in the river in terms of discussion points. The future of Kyrie Irving, Luka, and Doncic, and whether or not he wants to be with the Mavericks long term. Who's at fault here? Lots of questions on how we can attack this conversation. But here's the thing I believe that we need to kind of drive home here. It is now official that the honeymoon period, the feel-good period of the Luka Doncic story in the NBA is over. And I'm not saying that this is not a knock to saying he's not a great player. He's a fantastic player. He's a top 5, 4, 3 player in the NBA. No one's questioning that. On the main show today on Ernst Podcast, I actually revealed my NBA awards, my individual awards. Check it out on the feed, by the way. I revealed my awards, and Luka Doncic, despite the team falling apart, cratering the end of the year, I had Luka Doncic still on my NBA first team. So clearly, I still recognize him and his greatness, individually speaking. This is a team last year that went to the Western Conference Finals last season. In a surprise, of course, but went to the Western Finals. And in one calendar year, is now missing the entire playoffs / play-in tournament altogether. Who's at blame here? Well, Luka has to get a lot of blame here. Because, again, when you're the best player and you are, the chosen guy of that team in the franchise, as he is, you do have to harbor some responsibility. A lot of folks want to say Kyrie Irving should get blamed because literally the team fell apart the minute he stepped foot on that team after the trade. And certainly you can look at points there, but I can't in good conscience sit there and blame Kyrie Irving for the reason that the Mavericks fell apart in the second half of the year, post All-Star break. Ultimately, this falls on the front office. And this goes back to last summer when the team decided not to pursue and retain Jalen Brunson, who is not only leaves Dallas after helping take that team to the West Finals last year, he now goes to the New York Knicks, a moribund franchise for God knows how long now, 25 years, 20 years, hasn't won a playoff series in 10 years, and make him a playoff contender immediately. A 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. And a good Eastern Conference at that. Not matching. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that, Dallas made the wrong move, made the right move, wrong move in not signing him. Because honestly, I was one of those critics too. Also last year, that said he's a good player, but that kind of money that they were offering in New York, maybe, well, I'll take a pass on that. I think many people did not view Jalen Brunson as a $100 million player. Clearly, we were all wrong, and I'll own that. I was wrong on that. And in fact, that contract right now, so far, 1 year in, not only looks like a bargain. It looks like a bargain because he's changed the culture there. He's helped change the culture in New York. Meanwhile, he leaves, and not even a guard who's way more talented than Brunson can save them. They trade away, Finney Smith. They traded away a couple of pieces with Dinwiddie. And for the record, I don't knock the Mavericks for making this move. I think we need to see what kind of player Luka Doncic needed to play with. It was clear he needed another sidekick, another whale, another star. But one of the things I've been saying for the last season or two is that I think Luka is a little complicated because he's a guy that he's a number 2 guy. But again, I've been saying this for about a year or so now. It's like James Harden. It's like other stars. He needs someone that is a clear number 2, that doesn't challenge him, that does not take the ball away from him also. So I was a bit intrigued, but I was also pessimistic about Kyrie Irving being there. Not because Kyrie wasn't good enough, but Kyrie's another guy that needs the ball to be successful. And again, we're not sitting there blaming Kyrie for the reason the Mavericks missed the playoffs this year. Okay? We're just sitting there saying that maybe that's the style that does not work. What we didn't account for also, too, on top of that, is that the Dallas Mavericks defense is terrible. So, yes, Luka gets blamed. Yes, this is the first time in his career he's getting some real critique, real criticism from outside media who has fallen in love with this guy. And I love Luka. I love his game. But it's deserved here. Now, ultimately, to me, this all falls on the Mavericks front office and Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, of course, making these moves. Now, again, do I blame him for making these moves? No, because, again, we need to see what can work. So, obviously, him and Kyrie, can it work? Maybe. Because clearly, at least on the offensive side of things there, they still produced together. But I think it's clear that for this to work long term for Luka, he needs someone. I was saying that's like something like an Anthony Davis type, who's a number 1 talent, but clearly a number 2 guy. As you see in LA, is a real LeBron team still. AD is a really number 2 guy. You know, it's one of those things where you got to figure out who fits that mold. And then also the other burning question has been coming out there the last couple of days in the media. And I'm not necessarily buying into this either, but we'll see it in days to come, weeks to come, years to come. Because Luka signed an extension about a year ago, a big extension with the Mavericks. Does Luka Doncic get frustrated and decide to say he wants out of Dallas? I don't think it's going to happen. I think Luka's getting everything he wants. He got the money he wanted. He's playing under an owner that's clearly cares about winning. Maybe not making the right choices, but still cares about winning, cares about that team. I don't think Luka. I think the Luka leaving Dallas thing and the rumors about. I think he is happy in Dallas, and again, Mark Cuban went for a home run here. You can't say Mark Cuban didn't make a move because he did make a move for a guy who's a top 20 player in the league still in Kyrie Irving. It just didn't work. It's that simple. So, what we do know is the honeymoon period now in Dallas, in pertaining to Luka Doncic, is not officially over. And now he needs to start figuring out things going forward, figure out who can play with him, and start winning games. And start winning, the next step now. The next step for Luka now is getting to the finals. He's been to West Finals already, okay? He's won a couple playoff series already in this past. The next step now is getting to the finals. And while Dallas has now fallen behind this year, there are teams down in the Western Conference that has now surpassed them again. So we'll see what happens there going forward. Anyway, that's Ernest Christian here on today's Unfiltered. We'll talk to you guys soon. Until the next episode coming up, we'll see when we do it next. Love you guys. Take care and see ya.